Good morning. I'm Greg Jensen, the COO at Datagram, and I'm happy to be joined this morning by my co-founders, our CEO, Carlos Mendez, and our CTO, Najati Demir. I've been with the team here at Datagram now for just over 2 years, working to build out this really incredible data workspace that helps bring people together around solving business problems with data. Prior to Datagram, I was at Microsoft for 10 years, working on cloud, collaboration, and AI and machine learning. And before that, I did a few startups in the identity and security space. Today, I'm excited to share my thoughts about it, what I think it will really take to put big data to work for us in our businesses. I call this talk Better Together because I don't think it's a technical problem. I don't think it's data at scale or even security and compliance, but I think it's a problem about people. It's about us, our own selves, as individuals and as teams. Data has divided us along several dimensions, and we're not going to really be able to put data to work for us in our business until we figure out how to come together. So I'm going to take just 15 or 20 minutes and walk you through a few key data points and experiences that I've had that have changed the way I think about this entire space. And then I'll open it up for Q&A at the end. We are all on a journey to use technology to transform the way we work. Most of us have figured out that data is at the heart of all the changes that we need to make. The problem with putting big data to work for our business is that it's hard. It turns out it's really hard. It's hard because we have to change the way we work and actually completely immerse ourselves in our data. It's hard because using our business data to grow means putting it into production. What do I mean by that? I mean, we have to make it part of our processes, our systems, our culture every day. It needs to become the way that we run the business. And that's not just a statement about dashboards or reports. What I'm talking about is actually taking action based on data and with data. A great example of this is if you want to market to a specific audience segment that was identified through big data analysis like machine learning. Getting to that point is a lot harder than just building out a dashboard that shows your trailing month-over-month financial results, which can be hard enough on its own. Using data is really hard because it changes everything about the way we work. In fact, a recent Gartner survey discovered that it's so much harder than most of us think that the vast majority of our big data projects are failing. Why is that? If you think about all of the other new technologies that we're adopting as part of this global digital transformation, this failure rate, it's really staggering. So I'm going to highlight 2 of the top reasons, according to Gartner's research, and I think they might surprise you. Then we'll take a few minutes and look at a case study of one company that beat the odds and avoided becoming a statistic in Gartner's upcoming big data survey later this year. First, Gartner learned from their clients that difficulties deploying data into production is the #1 reason the projects are failing. Projects are getting defined, tested, but getting them to work in real life is the primary reason that 85% don't make it. Underlying this key finding is this tangled web of infrastructure that most of us deal with every day. And with all of the apps and services that we're running, it's no wonder that we're having difficulty deploying data into production. Our average infrastructure looks like this, plus a few layers. Over 920 cloud services in production at the typical enterprise company today. This shotgun approach that we've taken has created silos. And the silos aren't just in our apps. The silos are also in our data and in our teams across our organization. And Gartner tells us that most of us are not immune to this. In fact, only about 1/4 of us have eliminated these silos and deployed a common set of tools and methods across our enterprise for accessing and analyzing our data. What's interesting is that out of the only 25% of us that have eliminated these silos, an impressive 80% exceeded our business goals for 2019. And that's way better than our competitors by at least 20%. So this is key to business success. But to solve this right, it's not just a matter of tearing these things down, of mashing up our data. We also have to mash up our teams, mash up the way we work across the organization, which leads us directly to the number 2 reason why big data projects fail. And that's a lack of expertise and a lack of collaboration across our teams. While this is in part due to the silos in our apps and data and teams that we've just been looking at, there's another angle here that I think is even more important. I've put these 2 topics together because I think they're inextricably intertwined. So let's take a look at 4 key stats that I think highlight how these 2 factors are playing off of each other to cripple our big data projects. To start with, a full 2/3 of us aren't even comfortable using our own tools to access our own data and our own insights. Now, to be fair, the tools are pretty complex and disorganized, and they're usually not mainstreamed in our company culture like the other digital tools that we use every day, like email, Zoom. Maybe your company has standardized on cloud file storage. So as a result, our expertise is holding us back because we can't collaborate with data. For collaboration to work, everybody has to be able to use the tools, right? Think about the leading collaboration tools today, like Slack, like Google Docs, Google Drive. Everybody has to be able to use them to create a truly collaborative environment. One reason we aren't using the tools is, honestly, most of us don't even know where to start. We rely on data scientists and we trust the results, and we don't really ask the hard questions and come together and collaborate as a team to find the right answer. In fact, a lot of times data has become this silver bullet. I'm sure you've seen it. Maybe the answer was wrong. Maybe the data that was brought up wasn't even relevant to the question, but the answer still wins and is used to make decisions based off of because it's data. You don't argue with the data. And this problem is just getting worse, driven by the shortage in expertise that we see going on globally. This is the 5th year in a row that we've had a shortage of data scientists and data engineers. And it's just getting worse as demand is growing by some estimates 50% year over year. Whether we like it or not, data tools, technology like machine learning and AI, they're gonna have to be used by all of us. Do any of you remember when 2/3 of employees would have somebody else print off their email so they could handwrite out a response and give it back for that highly trained technical specialist to type in the reply and send it out for them because they weren't comfortable using email on their own? That was still happening 25 years ago. I saw it firsthand. And 25 years from today, I think this stone age of 2020 that we live in with these things called BI tools and data scientists is going to look pretty ridiculous to us in hindsight. And again, that's not just a statement about expertise, but it also drives the urgency for us to collaborate as a team with our data. The truth is, the team that you have today will have to work together to figure it out. You're not going to be able to push it off to the expert, the data science guy. And I think we all know that really hasn't been working anyway, and now we're starting to see why not. Lastly, we're going to have to get on the same page as an organization about whether our big data projects are working or not. Gartner found this 85% failure rate by going into their client organizations and talking to the teams responsible for execution and delivery. But what you also find if you go into the same organizations and you talk to the leadership teams who are managing those big data projects, they think 80% of their big data projects are succeeding. Yeah, in far too many cases, we have these silos that aren't just vertical, but they're horizontal as well. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing because we're not building a culture of collaboration that's rooted in data. So I'd like to share with you a brief case study of one such company whose big data projects were failing. Rappi is a $1 billion Y Combinator company out here in San Francisco. and they've built the leading DoorDash style delivery service in Latin America. Their problem is that they had to work across silos and across 5 different tools because they had built this system that was complex with a lot of manual steps. It took them 2 weeks to implement a new idea that they could just run an experiment with that might reduce churn across their client base. And to make matters worse, because of their silos and their different tools, if they wanted to add somebody new to their team, all of their data sets had to be uploaded and downloaded before they could be used by that person, making it really hard for them to collaborate. So this is the solution that Rappi was driving towards when they approached Datagram. Real simple. Trigger a chatbot inside of the Rappi app that could predict in real time, not 2 weeks, in real time, the probability of churn of the individual user that was currently engaged with the chatbot in that conversation. So Rappi put this solution together, and they really found the magic when they brought together all of their data sources, you see here in the bottom left, with the 5 different tools into a single data workspace that everybody on the team is able to use every day to understand what's happening with their business. And it enables them to make decisions together as a team based on a common view of data, and even take action in their go-to-market channels, which you see over on the right, the third-party targets. They broke down silos that they didn't even realize that they had, and were able to create a truly collaborative environment for their business data. And in doing so, they solved their expertise problem by creating this workspace that everybody could use regardless of their individual area of expertise or their own experience using big data tech and machine learning. Now, I know what you're thinking. You just brought in that magic box in the middle, the big green one on top called Datagram pipelines. And that's probably some complex machine learning system built especially for Rappi's solution, right? It's actually not. What we've built at Datagram is a general purpose SaaS product that teams like Rappi's can use to build a solution like this themselves, to put their projects into production quickly and without code. So I'd like to give you just a brief live demo of how that works. This is Datagram's platform. This is one component of it called our pipeline builder. It is a what you see is what you get drag and drop interface. On the right, you can see it brings together your data sources with operators you can use to work on your data and transform it, and then actions you can take when the data is ready. So on the left, you see I've built out the Rappi configuration. These are the 3 data sources we saw that Rappi has, S3, Postgres, and MySQL. Those just come together through a join operator. And then once they're joined, they can be used to run machine learning algorithms on, for example, a recommended product algorithm, which will spit out recommended products and target audience segments. So let's imagine that you wanted to take one of those audience segments and you wanted to export it to your Google Ads for a digital campaign. All you have to do is drag and drop export to Google Ads up here onto the canvas and connect it up to the output of the recommended products operator. So you can see this is live. And once you've done that and you log into your Google Ads account, if you haven't already done so, then you're up and running. So that is the tool that Rappi used to build this solution for themselves. And it really does work. The results that Rappi had were pretty amazing. They've been able to keep their month-over-month churn down by 4%, which is great by any standards. And as a side benefit, they realized a whopping 52% reduction in their new client acquisition cost, which wasn't even a goal of the team at the time. So in closing, I'd like to leave you with 2 things to consider in your data strategy as an organization. I hope that these 2 things help you avoid becoming a statistic in the column of big data projects that fail. First, get super specific about the business goals that you want to achieve with your data. What's your objective? What's that key result that you're going to measure? Your data isn't in production solving real problems for you unless the metrics that you care about are moving in the direction that you want them to. Rappi decided to go straight after that month-over-month churn number. They got other benefits as well, but they just focused, laser focused on that one number. And with that, they've been able to win big. For you, it might be lifetime value. It might be that acquisition cost. It might be your execution time, but pick one and drive towards it. Second, try to eliminate all of your silos, not just your infrastructure and app silos, your data silos, but especially those organizational silos, and create a really collaborative environment for your business data and your big data projects that use that data. Imagine a world where the kind of collaborative workflow that many of us are deploying today to, for example, build and approve strategic plans, where everyone involved can collaborate in a document or a presentation or a spreadsheet in real time. And everyone from the leadership team to the people responsible for execution can take part and have visibility and collaborate on the solution and the plan. Imagine that kind of an environment for your data. That's where I think we're heading. We don't have 25 years to get there. The good news is the technology is already available to get there in 2020, at least in the 2020s, if you choose to embrace it. Thanks everyone for your time today. Really appreciate having a few minutes to speak with you and looking forward to the Q&A session coming up next.